So it's always cool to see how companies are using additive manufacturing as part of their workflow. And you know the usual, you have print farms and hobbyists, but sometimes it's cool to see how a company is using additive as part of product development or testing. So I'm here at a random commercial industrial park here in Lower BC, and I'm just gonna find a random business, walk in and see what they're doing. And I think this one will work. Yeah, this should work. Let's go inside. So we're gonna start off in the actual subtractive area of Linus Media Group here, and to give us a tour and explain what they have and what they're doing with it, we have Tynan here from Linus Media Group. So Tynan, there's a lot of subtractive stuff here. What do we got?
Yeah, there certainly is, and we're adding more to it in the hopefully near future, but for right now, we have our 4x8 Avid CNC. This we mostly use for either wood processing or metal processing sometimes if we need something that's really large or really difficult to work hold into our Tormach, which is the next piece, because we can just drill straight down into the bed and mount it down.
Yeah, this is a sacrificial bed here.
Yeah, we've machined everything from plastic to steel on this. It doesn't like steel that much, but it'll do it.
enough. Give it enough ripums and the right cutter and the right feed rate, it'll go.
Our bigger CNC, where we also have a fourth axis, is our Tormach MX 1100 MX. We use this a lot, especially for Creator Warehouse, and Justin on our fabrication team uses it all the time for either subtractive plastic if he needs to, or for working with metal. This is our main metal removal machine.
So a lot of the stuff in here you're using to make stuff for videos, but also prototyping for products as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a complete mixed bag. Like we have some blanks here where we machined a bunch down as part of product development, so we would be able to easily just plunk it down and go. So it's a mix. It's a mix. We definitely use it for both. Then we're over into more of our hot metalworking area. So we have a giant welding table with a metal chop saw, some band saws, drill presses, a gigantic welding curtain.
And then you have
oxyacetylene torch.
Yeah, Miller welder.
Miller TIG welder. We're looking to get a MIG soon. Some grinders, belt sanders. And then onto one of our other very commonly used pieces of equipment is our laser cutter. This we use quite a bit, both on the video production and on the product development side for either packaging or if we need things cut out of flat plastics that are laser compatible. Other things we do in here is our painting. We have a little paint booth with a nice little extraction fan. It's nothing crazy, but it does everything we need. Typically, we end up doing a batch of stuff when we need to for a video. Then we have our sandblaster, which gets used quite a bit. We actually have parts of Linus's bike on the floor, which he's been going to finish for a while.
And then I do see here a nice selection of Milwaukee tools. Like to see it.
Yes, indeed. We're looking to expand that, but this is kind of our hand tools cart. Something else that we're looking to upgrade in the future is our bolt storage and assorted fastener.
You never have enough. You never have the one you need. Yep.
You know the way.
Yep.
Also, hopes and prayers bins are fun. That's the, I don't have the time or don't know where this is supposed to go. I've dug through it and found things I need sometimes, but it's pretty rare.
So that's a quick tour of the subtractive manufacturing area of LMG here in the shop. So now we're gonna go over to the lab and take a look at some additive machines. So before we head over to the labs, we're gonna make a quick pit stop here in the Creator
Warehouse Engineering Den.
There we go, we're here. And because here they have some really cool additive machines. So Tynan, take it away, because you can explain this a lot easier than me.
Starting off with our printer wall, we have a whole bunch of Bamboo Carbon X1s, a couple of Prusa Mark IVs. We also have our Prusa Mark IV-X that hasn't quite made its way onto the wall yet in its final home, but it's getting there. We have a Formlabs Form 3L, which we mostly use for either mold making or if we really need something that's super high temperature compatible or things like that. And one of the bigger workhorses for our team, at least, is the Fuse 1 Plus system, which is really expensive, but when you're making money from it, it's a lot more compelling.
Yeah, it justifies its own cost.
Exactly. And it's worked its way into our workflow a ton in both the product development side and also sometimes in the content side. So
that is a That's a really big stubby.
It is a big stubby. The handle, selector, and tube and shoulder ring are all printed on the fuse. And then all of the other components are either machined or printed on a Prusa. And then of course we have the big brother as well, of course.
So that one I saw at Open Source. This I'm seeing for the first time. That
Yeah.
thing, and these are fully functional. You basically
yeah.
just scaled up the CAD for the normal one.
Yeah, so it's not exactly a scale. There are some things that don't scale well, for example, springs. If you scale a spring 3x, it becomes an extremely different spring. So we had to tune a couple of things in terms of the mechanics, but everything else is just a 3x scaled version. Doesn't really feel like 3x because when you do it in 3 dimensions, it's actually 27 times the volume.
Yeah, square cube law.
Exactly, but yeah, it is 3 of them. It's pretty fun.
And the shank on that is machined aluminum, right?
Yeah, so this was machined on our Tormach, a machined knurl instead of a pressed knurl like on the actual driver. But everything, does this one have a magnet yet? Nope, this one doesn't have a magnet yet. This one does.
Yeah, so that.
And they ratchet in all of the things.
Are these gonna be on the store soon?
No. No.
But you do use these machines for more practical prototyping though. So we do have a bunch of the demo, practical, prototype.
These aren't actually on the fuse. I think I might have a couple parts. So this was an older project that I was working on. It was our mouse project. And this one was printed on the fuse. I was printing a lot of earlier models on FDM printers, but trying to get the hollow inside on an FDM was not fun. So I ended up going with the fuse.
These came out pretty good.
Yeah, they're great. It's great. And it's very similar to one of the plastics we typically use for a lot of our materials because it is a nylon. It is a little more brittle, so we're not using it for actual consumer goods, but it still gives an extremely representative final part.
Yeah. So you can actually get a proper functional prototype out of the SLS versus the FDM, where you can kind of see how it's going to work, but these you can see how it's actually going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, there's still benefits of injection molding from a mechanical and scale standpoint, but we can get something it's essentially another step closer to what we're going to get as the final part, which for us means less iteration when we start talking to manufacturers, which for us is a big deal.
And then these aren't all the machines you have, because upstairs in the offices, you have some Vorons, actually.
We do have a couple of Vorons. We picked those up when this used to be our office to have a desktop machine for each designer. And they still definitely see some use, especially Kyle uses his a lot. He's our engineering manager.
And then we also have CMM.
Yes, that was one of our other purchases post screwdriver launch.
For those at home who don't know what a CMM machine even is.
So this is an optical measuring system. So you can measure essentially down to sub-micron without touching your part at all, which for us was extremely useful because we have a lot of complicated geometries and small features where getting a physical touch probe in would be difficult. I had used one of these in a previous job and it offered a lot of additional capabilities that I thought we could use, and we have made good use of it through product development and vetting since we've got it. Then our electronics workstation. This is for more of our electronics-based projects and also just, fixing and repairing things. So we have a bunch of power supplies, oscilloscopes, signal generators, multimeters, a full JBC soldering station and rework station, and our wall.
This is really cool, actually.
Of SMD storage, which was in development for a very long time. But now that it's kind of running, our electronics team is extremely appreciative of being able to have a board, start populating the things you need, see the next thing on the list, grab it, and go.
Nice.
It's definitely sped up the process a lot and helped minimize potentially picking the wrong part or having to take something off and then put it back and run around a lot more than you have to.
So that is Creator Warehouse. So now we're gonna go head over to the lab. Okay, so we're here in the lab at LMG, and this is where they do product testing and video production. And as you can see behind us here, we have a bunch of printers here. So Tynan, what do we have?
So over here we have a wall of Prusa Mark IVs. These are a big workhorse that we use for our videos side when we have to get a whole bunch of prints out, or whenever Justin has to do any prototyping or testing for a video. Justin, who's our fabricator, uses these all the time as part of the video production, as well as for infrastructure or logistics improvements that we have to use around the company. Some examples are slate holders, which we're currently revamping, and some other intriguing examples are 3D printed water cooling, which, contrary to what you think, does actually work.
So those are resin printed, obviously, and they're printed on what machine we're using?
These were printed on the LMG Saturn IV Ultra.
So just a commercial, generic off-the-shelf resin printer, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. It can work, but you need to be very careful with it and, do it your own risk, obviously.
And we actually do have the machine over there, so we'll get to that too. But on the way there, we have a Prusa XL 5-tool head edition here.
Yep. This one we use a lot if we have to get a lot of parts out, or if we need to get anything particularly large, or obviously if you need multiple material.
Yeah, because the advantage with this, because you do have bamboos here, which those are mostly just multicolor usage now, right?
Yeah, for the most part. They can be multi-material, though generally, especially if it's for something that we need to get working, or we need a lot of, we'll run it on the Prusas or the XL.
And then we do have that over here in your little cave. That is resin printed water cooling, and it has been going for how long now?
7 months now.
7 months now. And it's still chooching.
Miraculously.
So the other big thing I use the XL for, the reason why I use it, is for filament redundancy.
Filament, oh, okay,
So if I'm doing like big bulk prints, then I can just keep it going without having to stop everything.
And then over here we have the resin machines for the lab, right?
Yeah, so we have our SLAs. These typically don't get used super frequently until they have to get used a lot. For our video production side, typically speaking, it'll be a lot of not using a piece of equipment and then using it a ton in the time span of like a week, because it's a key part of a video. So for example, the 3D printed water cooling, all of our SLAs were running at full tilt for weeks.
And then this is where you printed the water cooling stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is the LMG.
Looks like trains, little trains.
Yeah, we print interesting things sometimes.
So thank you, Tynan, and the whole crew at Linus Media Group for letting me come and take a look at their facility. It's always cool to see how additive manufacturing is being used by others and in what ways. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the smash button, ring the bell, all that other YouTuber stuff, and I shall see you in the future. Cheers.